Hey, my name is Bree. Today we're going to be making a mobile. So I have my cloud shapes cut out on some felt. I was going to put faces on them, but I decided that's not the vibe I wanted to go for. So I'm just going to sew these closed with one small opening so I can turn them right side out and fill them. For the first one I did, I wanted to do everything by hand. So here I am threading my needle. I couldn't find my threader, so I'm going to be using floss today. If you're using floss, you're going to fold it in half and stick that end through the needle. You're then going to separate the two edges so it's just a loop, which you can see I'm doing here. Sometimes it gets stuck. And then you're going to go ahead and thread your thread through that, and then you're just going to pull the thread all the way through using that piece of floss, and it'll pull it through for you. Okay, so I'm just tying a bunch of knots into the end of this thread so that it doesn't pull through. I think I did like 4 or 5 just to make sure. And then I'm going to make sure that I leave this top part open so that I can turn it right side out and then stuff it. Guava really wants to hang out, so she's going to hang out with me for this video. This stitch I'm using is called a chain stitch, I believe. You go in from the back, and then once you pull through a little bit, you'll notice that there's a loop. You put your needle back up through the loop and then pull it tight, and then you just keep going. It starts to look like a chain, and so I've slowed it down here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to stitch around the entire cloud except for that area that I said I was going to leave open. And then once that's done, I'm just going to go ahead and stuff it with the same stuffing that I used for the frog last week, which is just an old pillow. Okay, so I've gone ahead and stitched around the entirety of the cloud except for that opening. So now I'm just turning it right side out, making sure everything looks right. And then I'm going to go ahead and stuff it. So I just need to trim this so that it doesn't get in the way when I stuff it. And now that this is stuffed, I just need to trim off that excess thread there. Lots of trimming. This is really cool if you have a lot of time, but I don't have as much time, so I'm going to go ahead and just sew everything with this machine from here on out, just to make things a little bit easier on me. The thread is a little bit more difficult to sew. I had to lift the presser foot up a couple different times to make sure that it was turning enough, but as long as you're careful, everything should turn out fine there. Okay, cool. So now I have my embroidery hoop. I'm only going to use the inside hoop, so I'm going to take the outside one off, and I'll save that for a different project. So now I'm just taking this white thread, and that's what I'm going to use to hang these clouds from this hoop. So same thing as before, just threading that needle and then tying a knot at the end. For this one, I'm finding the spot where the counterbalance is so that it sits fairly straight. I'm going to run it through, and then I'm just going to loop back and go directly through that knot I just made so that it kind of like gets stuck in itself. Sure, we'll call it that. It's fine. And then once that's done, I'm going to pull all the way through. I'll pull the needle off of that thread once I'm sure that that is going to stay. And then I'm just going to tie it to the hoop. You might notice that these clouds have like color embroidered around the edges. I have been watching a lot of sunsets here lately, and I love that the clouds change colors, and so I decided to go in with that same stitch that I was using before, and just go around the edge with a few different colors so it kind of resembles a little bit of a sunset, but I don't know. It turned out cute. I am happy with that. So now that that's hanging off, I'm just going to do the next one. Just going to kind of zoom through these. Just to save time, I'm only going to show 2 of them because I feel like once you see a couple, you get the gist of it. Okay, now I'm just getting my floral items prepared. I couldn't find any wire cutters, so I was using toenail clippers. Would not recommend doing that. If you can help it, do something else, please. Now we are just going to kind of align these how we think will look good. I'm just using hot glue to kind of stick these on, and I'm going to try to cover as much of the wood as possible, even though I know some of the wood will still show through. I'm just using a bunch of different like flowers that I have. Like I said in a couple previous videos, I'm pretty sure I have like a massive stash of these, and the last time I went to the Dollar Tree, I bought too many of them and it just continues. So I'm just gonna use as much of these as I can to make sure that this looks full and beautiful. This part takes a really long time to do, especially when you're like trying to organize as you go. This one took so long that the sun actually set while I was trying to film, so I ended up having to move inside. And then as you're going along and putting these flowers on, make sure that you're tying some twine on there so that it can hang from like 3 different parts. I'm braiding the top of the twine together after I've tied it off so that I can just turn that into a loop to hang from the ceiling. And there we go. Let me know what you thought about this video. If you enjoyed watching it, go ahead and leave a like. And if you feel up to it, you can even subscribe. I'll see you next week.